How's it going, guys? Welcome to today's live class. There is a bird outside making a lot of noise, so hopefully he's not too much of a pain, but I guess we'll see how we go. So it is another live class, guys. Today I'll be answering your questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment box. As you're listening, as you're watching, I have a whole bunch here in a Word document that have already been asked in the Aussie English private Facebook group, via email as well. And there were a few questions that I took from last week's live class on Facebook. So for anyone listening or watching this in the future, remember the live classes are on at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, and that is 7 p.m. Melbourne time. So I believe it is Greenwich Mean Time, 11 plus hours. So put it in your diary, put it in your calendar. 7 p.m. Tuesday Melbourne time is the live class on Facebook. Liam is here already. Roshio's here. Guys, say hello in the comments. Say g'day to me. Let me know that you're here. And remember, if you have some questions, put them in the comments below. Aside from that, I guess I want to, what do I want to do? I want to say go into the description and click download the free ebooks, the free content for Aussie English if you have not done that already. That is all the free stuff like contractions in English, as well as phrasal verbs and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you haven't signed up to the Aussie English Classroom 2 and you would like to try it out, remember when you enroll, it is just $1 to try it for 30 days. It's an amazing deal, guys. The whole point is to get you in there, to try it, to see what you think, and then after 30 days, if you wish to continue, you can keep going, but you can cancel at any time. Aside from that, guys, I guess let's just go. If you have questions, if you want to ask me anything at all about me, about Australia, about English, put it in the comments here, and I will try and answer that as soon as I have finished all of the comments that I have here in this Word document. So I'll try and go through those first. Hello Akan, hello Nav, hello Lima, hello Mazhar, hello Tony, hello everyone. Welcome, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay, guys. Hopefully the audio is working all right. Haven't had any complaints yet, so I'm going to assume that it is fine. And also, I should remember, if you want to help boost this video, please give it a share. Share it in a group on Facebook. Give it a like. Give it a share wherever you can, on your wall, in any of the groups where you are studying English, or maybe it's groups like Brazilians in Australia. It all helps, and I am going to just do that quickly because I tell you what, guys, I'll go on a little bit of a rant before we get started. Facebook is really frustrating. Facebook has really knuckled down on its monetization. It's really trying to make money from people on Facebook now, especially people like me who have pages like the Aussie English Facebook page. Facebook wants me all the time, is encouraging me to pay just to get the people who have liked my page to see the things that I post, right? It's frustrating, it's incredibly annoying, and that's why I'm always trying to encourage you guys to like and share all the content, because if it's not seen and liked and shared in the first 10 or so minutes that it's posted, no one sees it. It'll just go straight to the bottom of Facebook's algorithm and no one checks it out. So it is pretty full on. They're really trying to get you to pay money so that you boost the posts and everyone sees it. But people like me don't have a lot of money. Anyway, let's get going. Quite a few of you here today. That's awesome. How are you going, Abdul? Omar as well. G'day, Omar. You've been incredibly active, I've seen on the page, so good on you, Omar. All right, so the first question today, and I'll just wet my whistle first with a bit of beer. To wet my whistle means to wet my whiskers here by drinking the beer. It's a good expression, to wet your whistle. So today's first question comes from Leyland. So Leyland asks, how do I use the modal past verbs such as would have, could have, and should have? Okay, so these are past modals, or modals of lost opportunity, because they're in the past, they're not in the present. And there's an expression that I wanted to share with you guys that is woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Say it with me. Say it with me. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So that is would have, could have, should have. These often get contracted down to just woulda or coulda or shoulda. And this is an expression that we will use when something is a lost opportunity. So it's like you've missed out on something. You didn't get to do what you wanted or succeed at something. People will often say, well, that's all well and good. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You should have done it, you could have done it, you would have done it, but you didn't. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's a really, really good one. All right, anyway, the general rules. Should is often used as a recommendation. So for instance, if you want to lose weight, you should exercise. If you want to lose weight, you should exercise. It's recommended you exercise, you should exercise. Could is used for possibilities. If you have the day off, we could go to the beach. So it is a possibility. It's an option. If you have the day off work, we could go to the beach. We could do that. We may not do it, but we could go to the beach. Would is used for imagining results. Okay, so imagining a result that has the potential to occur. Has the potential. Okay, so if I had more money, if I had loads of money, if I had more money, I would buy a big house. If I had more money, I would buy a big house. I imagine that is what I would do. Okay? So should is recommendations, could is possibilities, and would is imagining something that is a result you would like. The same rule applies here when we shift it into the past. So would have, should have, could have, same things, except now it's over. Okay? So should have, a different action recommended in the past. This is something that you were recommended to have done. It's in the past. You should have done this thing. So if I had wanted to lose weight, that's the past perfect tense. If I had wanted to lose weight, I should have exercised. Okay, so now we're putting it in the past. It's something that was recommended to have been done, but it's too late now, it's in the past. If I had wanted to lose weight, I should have exercised. Could have. So now it's a different possibility that was recommended in the past, that could have occurred in the past. And notice there, after could have, we use the past participle. Same with should have and would have. Occurred, okay, or exercised. Should have exercised, and okay, for could have, if you had had the day off, we could have gone to the beach. If you had had the day off, we could have gone to the beach. Okay? This was a possibility, but it was a possibility. It isn't a possibility in the present. It was a possibility in the past. The last one is would have. Would have is for a different imagined result, again, in the past. So we'll convert that sentence that we used before. If I had had more money, I would have bought a big house. If I had had more money, I would have bought a big house. Okay? And I've got a few more examples here. So imagine in your mind you've come home from work and mum is in the kitchen. Your mother is in the kitchen cooking. Okay, she's cooking dinner. So you don't feel like helping her, but it was something after the dinner's been cooked. It was something that was recommended. So I should have helped mum cook dinner. I should have helped her because now dinner's been cooked. It's over. Although it was recommended at the time in the past, you should have helped your mother cook dinner. You should have helped her. If she was cooking right now, present tense, remember my head's always the present. If she was cooking right now, you could say, oh, I should help mum. I should do this. It's recommended that I do it right now. I should do it. If it happened in the past, it was recommended. I should have helped my mother cook dinner. All right, we can use the same example, but now that it's possible that you could help her, or that you would help her. But you didn't. You didn't do this. So again, it's in the past. So you could say, I could have helped Mum cook dinner. And if it was an imagined thing that you wanted, an imagined result, you were going to do this thing, but something prevented you from doing it, you can say, I would have helped her, but this happened. I would have helped Mum cook dinner, but I was cooking, or I was doing something else. I was studying, I was running, I was working. I would have helped her, but I couldn't. All right, so that's it, guys. That's the woulda, coulda, shoulda, the past modals. If you see would have and then the past participle, would have done, would have occurred, would have thought, would have gone, it's in the past. It's in the past. If you see I would go, should go, could go, you see the present participle there, or the infinitive verb, then the bare infinitive, that is the present, I guess, the right now. It's still a possibility. All right, so next question. And I've got a little thing here. Kel got me this little g'day button.
She'll be right.
She'll be right. So I'll hit that between all these new questions.
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. All right, g'day, mate. Okay, so I got this question from last week as well, but I'm sorry that I didn't copy and paste the name of the person, so I'm not sure who asked this one, but it was a really good question. So effectively, the person was asking, do I use there is or there are? There is a group of people, there are a group of people. There is a lot of them, there are a lot of them. So this is used quite a lot in English. You'll see this. Natives will use both. In a lot of these examples, they'll switch one in and the other one out. So there is usually should be followed by something that is singular. There is a dog outside. If there's two dogs, there are two dogs outside. And you may have just noticed that I said if there's two dogs. See, even I do it. All right, so either one is fine, really, to be honest. If it's plural, you can use either. However, if it's singular, you should always use there is. There are a dog sounds incredibly weird. There are a person sounds incredibly weird. You can pretty much use both if it's plural, but if it's singular, you have to use there is, okay? And the reason that we confuse this, the reason that native speakers screw this up all the time is because the verb can be associated with there. It can be associated with, say, a lot. So like the, I guess the measurable noun in there, like a lot of people. A lot is singular, people is plural, and that's why we're thinking of is with regards to a lot or with a singular thing, and then sometimes we'll be thinking are because people, we're talking about a lot of people, although we've used a lot after there, and technically we should use the singular form of to be. There is a lot of people, okay? So that happens all the time, and it's cognitive linguistics. It's about what we're thinking. Is it multiple people? Is it that there is a group of multiple people? That's what's going on, and that's why we confuse it. But ultimately, that's the point. I would say that if there's plural, you can say there's a load of them, there's heaps of them. I would often use there's or there are for plural. If it's singular, I will always say there is. There is a and then something. But it's incredibly common and people will know what you mean. And the good thing is, because natives do this, they won't even pick up on the error. I wouldn't even flinch. I wouldn't notice if you made that mistake. So there you go. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this button. A lot of mileage, meaning I'm using it a lot. That's a good expression for you guys. Mileage, like the amount of miles that you would get in a car, the amount of mileage, the number that have clocked up, the number of kilometers that have clocked up, or miles that have clocked up. We say you get a lot of mileage out of something when you use it a lot. So like this t-shirt, if I wear this t-shirt all the time, I'll say, oh man, this t-shirt, I get a lot of mileage out of this t-shirt. A lot of mileage. Really good expression. All right, so I've got a question here from Lima. Lima, I know she's watching. G'day, Lima. Lima wants to know the difference between despite something, in spite of something, and nevertheless. Nevertheless, all one word. Nevertheless, squished together and she just liked it, so she's watching. So despite, in despite of, nevertheless. I guess firstly, despite something. Despite something. Firstly, note there's no of. Despite of something, we don't do that. It's despite something, okay? In spite of something, in space, spite, space, of something is where we use of, okay? Despite something, in spite of something. These are synonyms, guys. These are synonyms. In spite of something is probably used more informally, whereas despite something will be used more formally, more probably written more often than said, though I think you'll come across both. You'll hear both. I'll probably say both. I may even say despite, to be honest, more often, but according to the dictionary, despite is formal, in spite of is informal. So these are prepositional expressions. That doesn't matter. They're similar to, or they're synonyms of the words although and even though, okay? Despite something, even though something, in spite of something, although something. They all mean the same thing. You can literally just cookie cutter them in, we can say. So you can take one out, put the other one in. I'll give you some examples. So both of these are most common in writing as well. All right, so despite. Despite is a little more formal, gone over that. Despite being late to work, despite being late, and notice there that being is the gerund. We've just turned the verb to be into a noun, despite being late. Being late is the noun. Despite being late, he came to the meeting. So although he was late, even though he was late, he came to the meeting. In spite of being late, he came to the meeting. In spite of being late, he came to the meeting. Although, even though he was late, he came to the meeting. So just notice the different structures there, guys. So with although and even though, we follow that with a pronoun and then the verb conjugated in the past. Although he was late, even though he was late, we have to say who it was. And then we'll follow it up. He came to the meeting. But notice that with despite and in spite of, we just use the gerund. So we won't say he was. We won't say he was. We will just say despite being late, and then we'll finish it. In spite of being late. So there has to be a noun in spite of something, okay? So that's just a little thing to take away. One more example, okay? So you can switch these around, okay, right? So despite being late, that's one sort of clause, one part of the sentence. He came to the meeting. That's the second part of the sentence. In spite of being late, he came to the meeting. Although he was late, he came to the meeting. There's two sentences there. And we can actually switch them around, right? So we can invert them. We can say he came to the meeting despite being late. So the other example that I have here, imagine you're a boxer. So you're boxing someone. The boxer kept fighting. That's the first clause there. Despite being punched in the face. So despite being punched in the face, the boxer kept fighting. The boxer kept fighting despite being punched in the face. The boxer kept fighting in spite of being punched in the face. In spite of being punched in the face, the boxer kept fighting. You can switch these around. Neither one sounds, I guess, more natural than the other. To be honest, you could do whatever you want, but that's how we're joining sentences there with it in the middle, or using it as sort of a conjunction, a prepositional expression there in the middle. But you can also put it at the start of the sentence. Totally up to you guys. The last one there, if we use although or even though, remember what happens here, the difference in conjugation, the structure that we change in the sentence. This time we have to say the pronoun. So the boxer kept fighting although he was punched in the face. The boxer kept fighting even though he was punched in the face. And the boxer kept fighting despite being punched in the face. The boxer kept fighting in spite of being punched in the face. So I hope that helps. Let's go over nevertheless and nonetheless. This is a good one, and I actually use nonetheless, nevertheless. I would probably use nevertheless more commonly than nonetheless, although they're both synonyms. They both can be switched in. They're interchangeable. They mean the same thing, but nevertheless may be more common. But just see how you go. So these can kind of be used as synonyms for despite something or in spite of something, except it will usually be despite that fact, despite that thing, okay? Or in spite of that thing. And you'll see what I mean when I start using these sentences, okay? So we'll use the same sentences that we went over just before. So he was late. Despite him being late, despite being late, he came to the meeting. If we use nevertheless or nonetheless, we have to change the structure of these sentences slightly. He was late, but nevertheless, he came to the meeting. He was late, but nevertheless, he came to the meeting. He was late, but nonetheless, he came to the meeting. He was late, but nonetheless, he came to the meeting. So this time, we've sort of changed the structure. You wouldn't say nevertheless being late. You wouldn't use that structure because nevertheless it's talking about the follow-up fact, the follow-up clause this time. So this happened, but nevertheless this happened. Whereas the first examples we went over, it was more like despite this thing, in spite of this thing. But now we're this thing, but nevertheless this thing. So that's the structure that's happening there. I hope that makes sense. Sort of the only way I can explain it. So let's walk through these sentences and I'll show you the synonyms. All right, so he was late, but nevertheless he came to the meeting. He was late, but nonetheless he came to the meeting. He was late, however, he came to the meeting. He was late, but despite that, he came to the meeting. He was late, but in spite of that, in spite of the fact that he was late, but in spite of that, he came to the meeting. So that's what's happening with those structures there, guys. To be honest, I would just become familiar with hearing them, listen to this a few times, and then go out there and try to use these. Listen over it, get a feel for how I'm using them. Maybe write out your own example sentences using these two clauses of some kind and putting them in the context of one another. And just go out there and use them, okay? So I hope that helps, Lima. I hope that helps.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. All right, next question. Aniki, I hope I said that right. Aniki, Pete, how do I decline or say no or apologize in the workplace, in the work environment? All right, so I came up with a few of these. Basically, I would just say sorry. Like literally, I would say, oh, sorry about that, sorry for that, sorry. But we'll go through some examples. All right, so imagine you bump into someone, right? You were at the photocopy machine, where you're photocopying some paper, you turn around and you accidentally bump into someone, you hit them. I would instantly say, oh, sorry. Or I would say, sorry about that, or sorry for that. You can use any of these. If you want to take it a bit more formal, you can say, excuse me, oh, sorry, excuse me, or, oh, sorry, pardon me. Or you could just say, pardon me, you can just say, excuse me. You can sort of combine them, sorry, excuse me, or you can just say, excuse me, or sorry. Any of these are fine. If you want to bring that down now to informal, so imagine it's a friend, and you bump into them, you can say something like, oh, my bad. So, my bad. So instead of using bad here, the word bad, the opposite of good, now we're using bad as a noun, and it's more talking about something that you've done. So the thing that I did was bad, it was my bad, so I'm admitting guilt, I'm admitting fault, and it is a way of saying in English informally, in American English, Australian English, British English, that you've acknowledged you did something wrong and you're saying my bad. Okay, sorry about that, guys, my bad. So that's a very cool, informal way of saying sorry. Oh, my bad, guys, my bad. You show up late to a meeting. My bad, guys, sorry, I'm here now, though. Nevertheless, I'm here now. Let's get down to business. My bad. But then, yeah, I would say when you ratchet it up, when you take it to the next level of formality, sorry about that, sorry for that, sorry about being late, sorry for being late, or excuse me for being late. Pardon me for being late. So I hope that helps. You could also say forgive the lateness, forgive the tardiness, forgive the thing that you've done. Forgive. Sorry about that, guys. Forgive that. So there you go. All right, we got another one, another interesting one.
Crikey.
We got one from Leyland again. He asked another one. So the first one was from last week. This one's from this week. So he said, could you explain when and how to use the past simple tense and when to use the past perfect tense. So the past simple tense, guys, remember which one that is? The past simple tense, I went, he looked, they thought. Okay, there's no have in there. But whenever it's a perfect tense, there is some kind of conjugation of have before the past participle. So in the case of the past perfect, I had been, I had gone, I had thought, I had seen. Okay? So when do we use these? We use both of these to talk about past events. Okay? Obviously, past simple, past perfect. Talking about the past. Pretty self-explanatory. But the past perfect is used to talk about an event that happened in the past before another event in the past. That is when we start using the past perfect. You won't often hear this on its own in a sentence. You know, he had been there. You won't often hear that unless it's in the context of something that someone else has already said, setting up two events in the past. Okay, and it always indicates the event that is further back in the past. Okay, so the simple past will be the closer to the present but still in the past event, and the past perfect will be the event that happened before the other event that you've used in the past simple. Let's go through some examples. Last year, she learnt French. So last year, it's over. We use the simple perfect, the simple past. We use the past simple tense because that event is completely finished. Last year. That year is finished. It's last year. It's not this year. Last year. We use the simple past because it's completely done. Right? So she learnt French last year. If now we want to also talk about something that she had done before, and notice I just used it, something she had done before she learnt French last year, we have to now use the past perfect tense. We have to use the past perfect tense. So we could say last year she learnt French. After she did this, after this thing, she did this after, she learnt French after she had already learnt German. So she'd done this thing already, she had done, she'd done, notice that I contracted it there, she'd done, she had done, she'd learnt French, or she'd learnt German, and then she learnt French. So it gives context about which one happened first. Had is always further back in the past. Let's go through another example. Last week, we travelled to Queensland. So we're just using that one clause in that sentence, or there's two clauses. Last week, we travelled to Queensland. There's nothing else to put it in the context of. Last week is finished, so we use the past simple. Last week, we travelled to Queensland. But now if I want to talk about something that we did before we travelled to Queensland, I have to use the past perfect. Last week we travelled to Queensland, but before that, we had asked to get time off work. We had asked to get time off work before we went to Queensland last week. Both events in the past. We had asked to get time off work first in the past, and then more recently, but still in the past, we travelled to Queensland. We went to Queensland. We saw Queensland. We flew to Queensland. But that was only after we had got time off work. We had asked for time off work. We had accepted getting time off work. Makes sense. One more example here. Let's see if you... Okay, I want to say that I go to school, but I want to do this in the simple past, guys. How would you change the sentence, I go to school, for yesterday I something to school. Yesterday I something to school. What's the verb? How would you conjugate it? Put the answer in the comments here. Yesterday, instead of I go to school, I, simple past of to go, to school. What would you put there? What would you put there, guys? It's got to be the simple past. It's got to be the simple past. Exactly, Omar's nailed it. Yesterday, I went to school. Today, I will go to school if it's later on, okay? Yesterday, I went to school. Now, if we want to talk about what I did before I went to school, and I want to talk about waking up, okay? So I want to talk about I was asleep, and then I woke up, but I did that before I went to school. How would I say I to wake up before I went to school. How would you conjugate to wake up? I did that thing before I went to school. And remember, past perfect. How would you conjugate that, guys? The verb to wake up, I, something, something, before I went to school. Let's see if any of you can get this. Okay, remember, past perfect, past perfect. No. Close, Lima, close, Lima. That's it. That's it. Hoda pretty much got it, but it should be I had woken up. Hoda, not I had woke up. Woke up is the past participle for the simple past, but with some of these irregular verbs, we have to say I had woken up. Okay, but you got it. You got the idea. I had woken up before I went to school. Waking up happened before going to school. Both of these things happen in the past, so we use the past perfect to put that waking up before going to school. Simple enough. I think you guys get it. I've drilled that into you. But one last time. Simple past. Any event that's happened in the past and the time in which that event could occur doesn't include the present. But if you want to put it in the context of another event that happened before it, you have to use the past perfect. So that's it. I guess one last little note here for you guys. You will notice that there are other words in these sentences that give away the order. That doesn't always happen, but most of the time there will be context. Like, I had woken up once I went to school. Or actually, no, it should be the other way around. I had gone to school once I woke up. See, even I screw these up, guys. I did this after I had done that, or I had done that before I did this. So you'll hear words like before, after, once, when, and that'll give context quite often to the order of these things, even if you miss, oh, was that in the past perfect, or was it in the past simple? So there you go. No worries. All right. Fatima has a question here. What's the difference between reached and arrive? What's the difference between the verbs to reach and to arrive? So this is obviously talking about going from one location to another location, right? So you arrive somewhere, you reach somewhere. On the face of it, they kind of look similar, like they're exact synonyms, right? I reach somewhere, I arrive somewhere. The difference is, though, that arrive, or to arrive, I arrived, is an intransitive verb, meaning that it sort of happens to itself. It doesn't need an object. So you arrive. You can just say that simply. We arrived. But you can't do that with reach. You have to reach somewhere. There needs to be an object. So that is a transitive verb. These are the biggest differences. They are synonyms, but the structure is what changes. Okay, so you will arrive at work. So you arrive, and then you have to say where you arrived and give context with some kind of preposition. We arrived on the beach. We arrived in Australia. We arrived at work. In, at, on. Those prepositions will be there, okay? And that's gonna give it away, okay? Arrive in somewhere, arrive at somewhere, arrive on somewhere. With reach, this doesn't happen. You reach somewhere. We reached work. We reached Australia. We reached the beach. There's no in, there's no at, there's no on. Okay? And that's because it is a transitive verb. It is taking the object, which is the destination. We reached work. We reached the beach. We reached home, wherever it is. The location is now associated with the verb. It's transitive. Whereas arrived is just something you did. We arrived, they arrived, I arrived, and you talk about where that happened, and that's why we have to use the preposition. Where did you arrive? Where? Where did that happen? We arrived at work. That's where we arrived. Where did you arrive? We arrived on the beach. We arrived on the beach. It was on the beach where we arrived. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Arrived goes with in, at, on. It's going to have some kind of preposition. Reach will not have any of those prepositions there unless the structure's completely changed. You know, you might say it's the beach that we reached on time, and that is just that the sentence has been moved around, okay? But that's the basic idea there. Nicole wants... Fair dinkum. Nicole wants to know, is there a difference between especial and special? Is there a difference between these two? I know Spanish speakers mix these up quite a bit because I think you guys use especial and especialmente quite a lot, okay? But in English, we actually have 4 versions. We have special and especial, specially and especially. There are these 4 words. However, okay, so I had to look this up because I didn't know. I will never hear a special with an E at the start. Special with an E at the start, especial. I never hear that. I would never use that. I would always say special, okay? If something is special, it's a special thing, I would always say special, okay? So let's go through it, okay. Especial and especially have a more limited use than special and specially. Special is always used in preference to especial when the sense is one of being out of the ordinary. This is a special class. It's a special class. It's out of the ordinary on Facebook. This is a special class that I do on Tuesdays. He has been specially trained to fight as a boxer. He's been specially trained. This is out of the ordinary. This isn't normal. He's been specially trained for this one thing. So that is where we would use special and specially. Special is also used when something is referred to as being for a particular purpose, right? So the word is specially underlined so that you guys see that word. You wouldn't say especially in that case. All right. Where an idea of preeminence or individuality is involved, either especial or special can be used. But again, I would never hear especial. I had to look that up and I actually thought, oh, maybe this is a mistake. Apparently it's not, but I just never hear it and I've never read it, okay? So he is my especial friend. That sounds very weird to me, though it's apparently correct. He's my special friend. He is especially good at this job. That sounds natural to me. Or he is specially good at this job. In this case, specially sounds unnatural to me. I would say he is especially good at something, and I'm using especially there as a synonym for really. So he's really good at his job. He is especially good at his job. Especial. It's very weird. All right. Another example of using especially. It's used to single out one person or thing over all these others, right? So everyone here loves tennis, especially Pete, right? Especially that guy. So now it's like everyone here does, but that guy over there really does. He really loves tennis, especially Pete. He loves tennis. We can also use it for to a great extent or very much. He doesn't especially like dancing. He doesn't especially like romantic dinners. He doesn't especially like running. So it's kind of, again, it's sort of like really. He doesn't really like it. He's not really fond of it. He doesn't especially like it. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoy that one. The very last question that we have here, guys, is from Imran. Imran, great question. And he wants to know, what is the difference between this is why, that is why, or which is why? And then the rest of the sentence. That is why, this is why, which is why, blah, blah, blah. So again, this will tend to be used to join two clauses, right? You'll say one thing, and then you want to explain the next thing using these clauses. So I go to the gym, full stop. This is why I'm so buff. And buff is a slang term for really muscly. Buff, B-U-F-F. He's really buff. He's really muscly. I go to the gym. This is why I'm so buff. I go to the gym. That is why I'm so buff. That's using it as two sentences. I go to the gym, full stop. That's why I'm so buff. I go to the gym, full stop. This is why I'm so buff. You can use this or that, although I would probably use that more often. Because remember, that, this, those, these. This and these talk about things that are close. That and those talk about things that are far away. And if I am talking about, I guess, something like that, going to the gym, I'm not really going to want to talk about it with regards to close proximity to me, right? It's kind of just, it's something out there, and that is why I would use that, okay? I love going to the beach. that is why I'm a good swimmer, that, as opposed to this, although you can use either. So you can do that. If you want to join these sentences, you would just use and. So I go to the gym, and this is why I'm so buff. I go to the gym, and that is why I'm so buff. So it's a fact. But when we want to use which is used as I guess it's kind of a noun, a kind of pronoun that's used in there, and it joins the sentences. And it's used when you want to talk about a second clause to something else, but that the second clause isn't as important. It's kind of a side note, a side fact. It's kind of like, I go to the gym, which is why I'm so buff. So it's not as important. Whereas if you say, this is why I'm so buff, that is why I'm so buff, it's like you're saying this and this. Both of those are important. Whereas if you say this, which this, it's kind of explaining why that happens. Okay, so I go to the gym, and that's why, which is why I'm so buff. All right, so I hope that helps. But they're all synonyms for one another. You just have to work out how to structure your sentences using that is why, this is why, and which is why. You will never use which is why without joining those into a single sentence. Comma, which is why I'm so buff. All right, so we smashed out all the questions, guys. We've got one here from Isabel. What's the difference between that's why and that's because? That's why I'm so buff, and that's because. So why would be... That's a good one. You've got me on the spot. That's why I'm going to the shops. That is the reason why, and that is because I'm going to the shops. That is a difficult one to answer on the top of my head. I think either one would be okay. It's like you're explaining something. So you're saying a certain thing first, and then you're saying, oh, and that is because, and then you're explaining why. Okay, so you can use because, you can use why, and it will just be followed by an explanation of some kind, a reason of some kind as to why that's the case, or it's the case because this. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let's see if we can find another example. Okay, Win asks, is there anything different between stay cool, keep calm, and calm down? Okay, so stay cool and keep calm. Calm down. They're all synonyms, really. Stay cool, keep calm, calm down. It just all means relax. Don't be so angry. Don't be so frustrated. Don't be so agitated. Stay cool. Look, dude, just calm down. Stay cool, keep calm. I would use them all. They're interchangeable. You can switch in one. You can switch out the other. I would probably say calm down if the person was incredibly enraged at that moment. They need to reduce that, and that's why we're using the phrasal verb with the preposition after it, down. Calm down, okay? Calm down. Whereas keep calm, you could probably use, and the same with stay cool, which effectively means keep cool, remain calm, remain cool. These are all synonyms. You guys may not be angry already. You may not be afraid already. And you can just say, okay, something's about to happen, guys, but keep calm, but stay cool, but remain calm, but remain cool. Okay, so that would be like, you could use those two when something hasn't happened yet, but it may, you know, the plane's about to crash. You could say, okay, guys, the plane's come down, but keep calm. It's going to happen in about a minute, 2 minutes. It hasn't happened yet, but keep calm. Whereas if the plane was going down, you could say, everyone, calm down, you know, because they're freaking out, they're scared. But you could also use keep calm, stay cool. So they're all effectively synonyms. Let me just sift through and see if I can find some more questions. Okay. I love how involved you guys are. You guys are great. You guys are great. I'll have to try and work out how to get you guys more involved. And yes, Lima and Rocio were keeping track. I got a new chair today. This is not the chair. The chair is in my room. This is my dad's office, but it's wonderful. Oh my gosh, it's so nice on my back. Okay. Hi, Pete. So Mohammed asks, would you please explain to us what's the difference between for what and what for? Oh man, that's another good question. For what? What for? These are just, you would you would use that as a way of asking why. So, I have this beer. Someone could say, what for? Meaning, for what purpose do you have this beer? And they can use either one. They could say, for what? So I've got this beer. Yeah, but for what? Why do you have it? What's the purpose? For what? To do what? For what? But they could also say, like, they could say, what for? So you can use either. You could just reverse them. Maybe you bought a brand new jumper. Okay, you live in a really hot environment, but you decided to buy a really, really big jumper that is really warm. If you wore it outside and it's a nice warm day, someone could say to you, dude, you've got a jumper. What for? For what? Why did you get it? What's the reason? And they'll tend to be standalone short phrases, right? So you probably won't hear them often, what for do you have this? Or anything like that. It'll just be, what for? For what? So, yeah. And it's talking about purpose. What's the purpose? Why have you got that? In order to do what? What's the reason why you have that? What is the purpose? What are you going to use it for? For what? What for? Another good one I should mention too. How come? How come? I use that all the time, and I can't remember who it was. I was chatting to someone, one of my students, I think, and they were saying, why do you keep saying how come? How come? What does that mean? How come is another way of saying why. So I came to France. How come? Or you could say, what for? What's the purpose? What reason? What for? How come? Why? Simply why. For what? So they're all synonyms, guys, and you will hear them used all the time. All right. Big house. Good view. There isn't much of a view at the moment. I'll see if I can just turn this around for you guys, and you'll see out the front here, it's a good view of my dad's car and my car out the side there, and then the really annoying birds keep sitting here on these plants and making a lot of noise. So, yeah, that's my current view. All right, what else have we got here? Is it okay to use a before plural? He lives a ways down the road. The weapon kept me alive many a night. Many a night. Yeah, Nav, those are some great questions too. I think usually no. And I think in both of those cases, ways, despite having an S on the end, it's a ways away. It's singular. So I think that's the key there. And a night. Many a night. Even though he's saying many a single thing. So that's why you're seeing a there, because the thing after it is actually singular. So if you see that in the future, even if the word ends with an S, like a ways away, which is sort of an uncommon way of saying quite a distance. It's a ways away from here. It's quite a fair distance away. It's a ways away from here. It's not very common, but you might read it from time to time. So, okay. If he had had time, we could have gone to the cinema. That's a perfect example, Omar. Good use, good use. He told me never to call her, or he told me to never call her. Both of those are fine, Nav. Nav's asking, okay, where do we place never? Where do we place never? That is a really good question. And it happens quite a bit, okay? So this happens with, he told me never to call her. I think that's it's an adverb in this case. Adverbs tend to be really they're able to be moved around quite a lot in sentences. And this happens quite a bit in English, okay? He told me never to call her. He told me to never call her. He told me to call her never. He told me to call never. You'll hear it moved around quite a bit. Both of those examples are the most natural ones. He told me never to do this. He told me never to do this. Or if you want to put never, the adverb, right in front of the verb you're talking about, that's okay as well. In which case you'll take the word to and you'll put that in front of never and you will say, he told me to never call her. So either one is fine. It's a really good question. Which one would I use preferably? He told me never to call her. He told me to never call her. I'd probably switch in and out, to be honest. So it would just depend on whichever one I pick on the spot, right? Sometimes that happens where there's multiple structures or there's synonyms. You know how you'll have two words to explain the same thing. You'll use both, and for some reason your brain picks one half the time and it picks the other one the other half of the time. This is one of those cases. He told me never to call her. He told me to never call her. I'd probably use them both. So, great question, mate. Good one. She asked me where I was, or she asked me where was I? That's a good one. Struth. She asked me where I was is a single statement. So that first one is reported speech. It's indirect, right? So you're saying, she asked me where I was, without quoting her. Whereas if you quoted her, you would have to say, she asked me, first quotes, where was I? Or actually, no, she would ask me, where are you? In fact, in that case. But if you were to do it with the inversion there, with was I, it would have to be a sort of second clause that's put there with a comma. Okay, she asked me, comma, where was I? So, and you probably wouldn't use I. In that case, you'd be using quotes, and it'd be, where were you? Okay, you'd be quoting literally what she said. So the indirect version is, she asked me where I was. That's what she did. But if I wanted to say she asked me and then I wanted to quote exactly what she said, I would say she asked me, where were you? Or where are you? Depending on the tense, okay? So they're the main differences there. It's reported speech, it's indirect, or it's direct. It just depends on which one you want to use. Let's see if I can find some more questions, and hopefully you guys have put some at the bottom of the page here. It looks like we have exhausted all of the questions at the top, so I'm going to scroll down. Hoda, how are you going? Pete, is dude a rude word? Because my boys always say it. No, dude is not a rude word. Dude is fine. It is informal, so it's kind of like saying man or dude or mate. It is not rude. It is not rude at all. And I'll tell you a rude kind of funny joke, and I don't know if it is true or not. I think I will have to look this up. But we used to have this joke going around primary school where I think we used to say that dude was a slang term for a whale's penis or a camel's penis. It was one of these things that was a common joke at primary school, and I think it was with the word dude. And it was kind of like we would say it to people who said dude all the time so that they would stop using it. So that was a bit of a strange joke that I can remember from like primary school. But dude, I will use that quite a bit. Again, if I use it, it is me being bit less formal than usual. I won't use that with colleagues at work unless I really know them well. I won't use it with people I don't know unless they're younger than me and they're male. I might do it. Dude, what are you doing? I might do it, but again, yeah, just informal. Dude or man or mate. Mate I could use all the time though, just as a way of sort of saying friend. But dude, it's informal and it's used mainly for guys, okay? It's used for guys. So Helen, how are you going? Alexandra, what word is the opposite of thick? Thin. Thick and thin. I was buying something and couldn't explain what I wanted. So you've got something thick and you've got something thin. Thick, thin, okay? And Roshio's nailed it there. She said thin and thick. A cool thing for you guys is the fact that we use thick to mean stupid. This is an Australian thing, I think. So we would say that someone is thick as a brick. So a brick, the thing made of clay that you build a wall out of on a house, a brick. That guy's thick as a brick. Thick as a brick. He's incredibly dumb. It's kind of a polite way of saying it. You're not swearing. He's thick as a brick. You could also say he's thick as a plank. So I'm trying to find... See the wood here behind me on the wall here? That is some thick wood. And it would have originally been a plank of wood before it was put together into this bookshelf. It would have originally been just a flat plank of wood that had been cut out of a log, out of a tree trunk. And so if someone's thick, well, you mean, you know, they're dumb, they're stupid, they're thick as a plank, they're thick as a brick. And I think there is a joke about what do chocolate cake and football stars have in common? They're both thick and rich. Get it? Thick, The chocolate in the cake is really thick and it's rich, as in the taste is very strong. And for football players who are stereotypically not very intelligent, that's the stereotype, not all of them, the stereotype, and they have a lot of money, they're thick and rich. So we're using these two words and it's sort of a pun there, okay? Thick as in the thing is thick, it's viscous. The cake mixture, it's thick versus thick is stupid. Rich in the cake mixture, oh, it's so sweet, it's so strong, it's so rich. Really rich with flavour, really rich. And then rich with regards to money. He has a lot of money, he is rich, filthy rich. Alright, I noticed my boy also says dude, but he's only 6. Is it appropriate for him to use it now? Yeah, I would say it's absolutely fine, Leyland. I think it's absolutely fine. And he will have learnt that from kids at school. He will have learnt that from kids. So I would just say, tell him to go and use it. If he starts using F-bombs, as in the F word, you know, or the S word, I'm not going to say it on here. You guys know what it is. Then yeah, that's another story. But dude is fine. All right, Alexandra, I heard that word a lot in shopping yesterday. There you go. And Ali, G'davo, how's it going, mate? So guys, I think that's it. There don't appear to be any more words. I hope you guys are liking these classes. I hope you enjoy sort of just chatting. I'll try and come up with a way to interact with you guys a little more because I feel like you guys want to be involved and be asked questions more often. I've got heaps of ideas, but we'll see how we go. Remember, guys, go into the description, get all the free content there. If you haven't signed up for all of that already, it'll get sent to you in an email. Sign up to the Aussie English Classroom if you want to learn Australian English. If you guys want to upgrade your English, I am currently working on a bunch of minimal pair stuff. So this is all this stuff related to words like desk and disc, bitch and beach, where there's a very subtle sound there. So I'm about to put that in the Aussie English Classroom, guys. Sign up, give it a go. It's $1 for 1 month. For 30 days, you can cancel at any time, but I know you guys are going to love it. And there's the community now on Facebook that we're all working in, posting videos, practicing together. That's a private group, but you guys are more than welcome to join that when you sign up to the Aussie English Classroom. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer next week, put them in the comments, tag me, so do the @ symbol and then Aussie English, make sure I see that and I will add that straight to the list for next week. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day. You guys have been amazing. Carlos, Nav, Mohammed, Ali, Lima, Rocio, you guys have been asking some great questions today. It's an absolute pleasure to answer them. Alexandra, Leyland, you guys are amazing. And I will see you next week. Peace out, guys, and Cooey. See you guys.